Welcome to Conversations with Kay. I'm Kay Ryder. And every week I talk with Vermonters who are leaders in the fields of government, healthcare, education, the arts, and community life. My guest is Anna Marie Gewirtz, and she is the new CEO of the Flynn Center for the Performing Arts in Burlington. And welcome to our radio listeners on 99.3 FM WBVT-LP. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'll welcome you to Vermont on behalf of VCAM. So.
Thank you.
Why did you want to come to lead the Flynn Center for the Performing Arts?
Sure. Well, I have been in the arts my whole life and my whole career. And my husband and I we had been talking about moving out of New Jersey for several years. And I'm a skier, so I've come up to Vermont in the winters, and that's really how I knew Vermont. But the other thing I knew about Vermont was the Flynn. And the Flynn had been on my radar for quite some time, both for its education programs as well as our programming. It's really known in the historic theater world as one of the shining examples of a historic theater and artistic excellence. So all of that was very attractive, and when this job came on the market, I had a few people reach out to me about it and say, you should really apply. And the recruiter reached out to me, and the rest is history.
Great. Well, now do you like living in Vermont?
I love it. I really love it. I have two daughters. They're 5.5 and 3.5, and my husband. And our family has just loved being in Vermont. It's been such a joy. I love the quality of life. I love that I have a much shorter commute than I ever did in New Jersey. And I think most importantly, I really love the community. And I love the sense of people taking care of one another, and the sense of safety and security that is here. And I've been just so overwhelmed by the arts and cultural sector here, just how much we have going on in the arts. It's amazing, and the variety of offerings that we have for the size of community, it's astounding to me. Lots
going on in the arts, a great deal. Where did you work in the arts before coming to Burlington, Anna Marie?
Sure. So my first role in arts management was at New Jersey Performing Arts Center, NJPAC, in Newark. I also did my graduate internship at New Jersey Symphony Orchestra. I worked at Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. And then most recently I was at State Theater, New Jersey, which is another historic theater. Very similar to the Flynn. We had a big education program and our community outreach, as well as a pretty big presenting program on our stage.
Right. There's a lot going on in New Jersey, too.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yep. Oh, yes. Yes. You've been here about a year now, and you had settled in a little bit. Were there any surprises when you came to work at the Flynn? I mean, you had worked in the arts, but anything surprise you about the Flynn?
Yeah, I think one of the things, I mean, on paper, the Flynn is a very, very busy institution. But I think actually experiencing it as a leader for the first year and just seeing how many things happen at the Flynn and also off-site that the Flynn is involved in, it was really amazing to me. We have over 200 performances a year. We have about 2,000 people that take classes and camps and workshops at the Flynn. It's incredible. Our two stages, we have Flynn Space, which is our black box theater, about 180 seats, and then we have our main stage, 1,400 seats. The number of nights of the year that they are being used, even if we don't have a main stage performance, we're often doing tech or dress rehearsals or maintenance. You know, it is an absolutely very, very busy place. So that was really wonderful to experience. It was also, you know, just incredible to kind of get my arms wrapped around everything that was happening at the Flynn. The other thing that was surprising to me in a wonderful way was the number of partnerships that we have. And I really credit John Kalaki and the whole team at the Flynn, who've really been thoughtful about how the Flynn can partner with social service agencies and with other arts organizations and really reach out into the community to make sure that people of all ages and all backgrounds are served through the arts. And I was surprised, again, in a wonderful way, to just see the level of collaboration and how arts organizations here really want to partner. You know, I think everyone recognizes that we're a small state and we can do much much greater things if we work together. And so the partnerships that I've even been able to form in my short tenure here have been, you know, relatively easy to put together because everyone really is working in the same collaborative spirit, and that was a wonderful surprise.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that I think there's less. Well, I've used the word competition in a way. People try to, you know, get their schedules set up so
Right.
they aren't conflicting on big shows.
Right. I think everyone recognizes, again, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure that everyone's successful and everyone can really be presenting their best work, you know, to the community. So, again, it's just been really wonderful to get to know all these other organizations and further these partnerships that we have.
Great. Now, Steve McQueen, of course, your artistic director. Steve puts together such a wide variety of programs, and then they appeal to all kinds of people. Are there any special kinds of shows that you yourself like, and have you attended a lot of shows at the Flynn?
I have attended almost everything, not all, but I love all of it. I really do.
That's good.
And the reason I say that, and the reason that I was so drawn to working in a presenting house versus working, you know, for a ballet company or a modern dance company or, you know, a symphony, is because we have such a breadth and variety. And so on a single weekend, we can have an incredible international performer come in and kind of get to have this intercultural experience, you know, and listening to that kind of music. And then the next day, it's a family show, and I can bring my daughters, and we can enjoy that together as a family. And then the next day, it's you know, a modern dance performance, and we have a completely different audience, and a completely different aesthetic going on stage. And to me, that is such a, you know, the variety is actually what I enjoy the most. And I have, you know, the shows I've seen this year, I've loved every genre, from, you know, the jazz performances to the dance, to the international programming, to the music, to, you know, on and on. It's all been a joy for me.
Right. I'm talking with Anna Marie Gewirtz, and she is the CEO of the Flynn Center for the Performing Arts in Burlington, Vermont. The Flynn is noted. One thing it's really noted for is its educational programs, particularly for the young folks. And I'm sure your daughters must like those shows. Why is arts education so important for young folks?
Oh, I think it's such a critical part of a young person's life and education. There are so many studies that link arts education with creativity, with brain development, with teamwork, with communication skills, with critical thinking skills. So many of the skills that employers are looking for in our workforce today are skills that actually can be formed through arts education. Things like discipline and focus and you know, listening and watching one another and working together as a team to accomplish something that's greater than oneself. So I think arts education, I mean, for me, I grew up, I was very, very blessed as a child to have music education, music classes from a very early age, and they were so formative for who I am today. And I really think that that's such a big part of why arts education is critical to all children.
Yes, you talk about communication. Communication is very important in the arts. Like you said, you have to listen and you have to respond. You have to be right there in the minute. And one thing that I love, you know, some of these schools do not have arts education. And so, you know, I love it at the Flynn when we have the student matinees and the big yellow buses pull up, you know, and the kids file out. It's great.
It's one of the favorite parts of my job. I love that program serves 38,000 students and teachers every year, which is astounding. It's nearly half the number of K-12 students that we have in the state. That's, you know, a pretty amazing fact. And so seeing everything from 3-year-olds, you know, our pre-K classes that come all the way up to 12th grade, many of these kids, they're coming to the Flynn for the very first time. This is the first performance they'll ever see, and they're walking through our doors, and their eyes are as wide as saucers, and they're looking around, experiencing this beautiful historic theater that's been so well stewarded over the years, and it's really a treat treat for them. And we also hear from a lot of teachers that this is not only the first time for them to see a performance and the first time coming to the Flynn, it's the first time for many of these students to come to Burlington. And they're coming from, you know, Franklin County or Addison County or Washington County, and
from New York State.
And from New York State. And I think that's really an important element of, again, having students come and experience, you know, the city of Burlington and this wonderful performing arts show.
Right now, you mentioned this. Well, the Flynn obviously, you know, believes in artistic education for people of all ages. Now, how do you achieve this goal? What are your special programs for this?
So, you know, a lot of people use the phrase cradle to grave, but we do have programs that are as young as babies. We have a new program called Free Family Saturdays that is being hosted on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. once a month. And that program is really for kids 0 to 8 to come and experience a live performing arts event in our lobby, kind of breaking down all of those barriers of, you know, having to buy tickets and the cost of that, and really making it, you know, accessible for families and young children. And then on the other side, we have an amazing program called Movement for Parkinson's, and that is for people with the Parkinson's disease diagnosis and their caregivers. And we have this incredible teacher, Sarah McMahon, who is actually using the Mark Morris dance technique for people with Parkinson's, and it is an incredible therapeutic program. And, you know, it's not just that we're getting people to dance and move and work on their balance and you know, things that are really critical to their care, but it's also that we have created a community of people with Parkinson's and their caregivers, and for many of these folks, this is the one time of the week that they actually get out of the house. And that's so important, you know, for a disease that often is very isolating and lonely. So, you know, I am really interested in us continuing to look at things that will really help one's well-being and sort of the holistic view of how the arts can help make your life better, you know. And so one of the things that we're really exploring heavily for next season and beyond is creative aging. And there's a big national movement around people that, you know, in their older years kind of taking up the arts and helping it improve their brain function and their creativity and their community building and bringing people together around the arts. And so that is something that the Flynn is really looking at very seriously, and we have some program development and some testing that we'll be doing next year to really see what else we can do for our older adults.
There have been studies done that music really helps people with Alzheimer's, and you know, that makes sense to me, because right now I'm sure that you could sing for me some commercial that you heard when you were about 10 years old or something.
Of course, right?
Yeah, it's all in there someplace, you know, and so music people have heard years before. Yeah, it'll help them.
Yeah, I agree, and all of those types of programs I think can be so beneficial. And again, they're great for community building, and they're great for the individuals that may be suffering with a variety of things. So.
Right, and it's good to get people out. It really is, and it's good. The way the world is, it's good for people to realize what the problems are. Yeah,
I agree.
Personal experience seeing someone with Parkinson's dancing.
Yes.
Would you have thought of that? No, no. This is a good thing.
I agree.
Yep,
I agree.
Absolutely. Now, your predecessors, Andrea Rogers and John Kalacki, created a wonderful legacy for the Flynn. And your predecessor, John, particularly, you know, his goal was everybody belongs at the Flynn. And he worked very hard to set this up, as you mentioned before, working with social service agencies and people in our community. And how do you set this up? You must have scholarships for people, discounted tickets. Do you have something set up special to carry out this part of your mission?
We do. We have a variety of programs. Actually, one of One of my favorite programs that we have is called Community Tickets, and that Community Tickets program will be expanding next year. We were able to get some additional grant funding to help support that from the Gannett Foundation as well as Ben & Jerry's. And that program, we are able to partner with 90 social service agencies. And they distribute highly discounted tickets to their clients. They're only $2 each ticket. Wow. And we're able to open up a large variety of performances to people that would have otherwise never been able to come. And that's a really big part of our mission, is just creating access. And you know, we believe that everyone should have access to the performing arts. And so that Community Tickets program, we're very interested in continuing it and expanding it. Mm-hmm. And another program that we have are scholarships for our classes. We have an incredible array of classes and camps and workshops for kids and teens and adults. And we do have a lot of people that come to us and say they would love to take a class, but they really just can't afford it. And so we have partial scholarships as well as full scholarships available. And that's a great way of us opening our doors to people of all backgrounds. And those classes are, you know, with some of the highest qualified teaching artists in Vermont. I mean, that's really, we have exceptional teaching artist faculty who are very well trained. And so it's really wonderful for us to be able to make scholarships available for people who truly need them.
I hope you can expand this program. I think it's marvelous. I think it's a sliding scale, if you will. Mm-hmm. So people can get the help they need so they can come to take the classes. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. I'm talking with Anna Marie Gewirtz. I can't pronounce your last name. Gewirtz, isn't that terrible? Who's the CEO of the Flynn Center for the Performing Arts in Burlington, Vermont. Where would someone call for information about your programs? And I know you have a great website. Mm-hmm.
So probably the best place to get information about all of our programs and upcoming events is flynncenter.org, or you can call the Flynn box office, and our team will be very happy to help you.
Okay. You have a good box office, by the way.
Mm-hmm. We do. We have exceptional leadership in our box office, and we have a terrific staff. I mean, our whole staff is really top-notch, and yeah. I've been very lucky to work with them.
Right. That's where it starts. Mm-hmm. That's your first point of entry for people. Absolutely. Many times. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good PR at the box office. Mm-hmm. Yep. In addition to your main stage, you mentioned the Flynn space. Now, mm-hmm. that's a marvelous small area. Mm-hmm. And how does this lend itself to certain types of programs, Anna Marie?
Yeah, well, Flynn Space, I think, is such a magical venue. It's just, you know, for people that haven't been down there, you really have to experience a show in Flynn Space. It's, you know, what we in the industry call a black box theater, which means it's completely flexible in how we set it up. It can be configured as theater in the round. It can be figured sort of in a galley format. It can be really very flexible for whatever the artist needs as well as the audience needs. And it's a maximum of 200 seats. That is the max. So a lot of our performances down there are 120 seats, 150, you know, so it's very intimate. Audience members really get that kind of up close and personal feel with the artists. You will not miss a minute of what's, you know, their expressions and their faces and things like that. So, you know, for all those reasons, I think it's really, really magical. What we have been actually really working on our Flynn Space strategy. Over the last year, one of the big changes was that Vermont Stage moved down to Main Street Landing because they wanted a little more space and flexibility, which is great for them. Mm-hmm. And actually for the Flynn, it's been really beneficial because that opened up 4 months of our calendar to do a lot more programming. And it also enabled us to do regular performances and do even more in engaging Vermont artists. And that has been a big goal of mine. And also the team at the Flynn. I think we really recognize that Flynn Space in particular is a great place for us to showcase the emerging artists and the off the beaten path artists and things that are sort of boundary pushing. And so the three main things that we're looking at for next season, and I think Steve McQueen and his team have done an incredible job programming this space. We will continue with the world-class artists, the touring artists. We've got amazing jazz that's going to be performed down there, and international music. We have an incredible series with Kumbaya Records that's coming through, and we have incredible modern dance, and we have great music and some wonderful theater, and then we also have a whole series of things that we're doing with Vermont artists, and some of them are happening on a monthly basis, which is incredible. That's great. And we'll continue to sort of push the boundaries and look for things that are quirky and eclectic, and offer our audiences something new and surprising. So those are the three areas that we're really looking at in Flynn Space, and it's going to be a really exciting season down there.
I like the fact that you have local comedians in there. I think that's good too. A lot of women comedians. I think that's marvelous. Now you have the Jazz Festival, it's just finished, and I look upon the Jazz Fest as starting summer in Burlington, and you know, it's just a wonderful week, just full of everything. Many free events also.
Yes.
And did you get to some of the jazz events this year, and do you like jazz?
I love jazz. Jazz was something that really stole my heart in my teenage years, and I play piano and sing, and my first job when I came out of college was actually playing 5 nights a week in a hotel lounge, and so I played a lot of jazz and worked with a lot of different jazz combos, quartets and quintets. So yes, I absolutely love jazz, and going to the festival this year was just incredible. I saw so many different things. We saw Patti LaBelle and Bobby McFerrin on the main stage. We had incredible performers all week in Flynn Space. It was just off the charts every night. One was better than the next. It was incredible. And then we had Toots and the Maytals, and we had Tank and the Bangas down at the waterfront, and I just have to say, the artistry and the electricity, the feeling, that I got from each of these performances was just incredible. And I spent a lot of time on Church Street just soaking up, we had over 100 free hours of music, which is just amazing. And so that was wonderful to see as
It's a joyful week.
It really
Absolutely.
is.
It's just great
really
fun.
Is.
Just great fun. How is the Flynn funded, actually?
Sure. So we are funded almost 60%, about 59% of our revenue comes from ticket sales and earned income. And so the balance, a little over 40% is coming from contributed income. And so we have a membership program where individuals join, and that membership program is really, we could not stay in business and do what we do, and certainly we couldn't fulfill our mission without our members. We also have corporations and businesses that are sponsors of our programs. We have some foundation grants, and then we get some funding from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Vermont State Council on the Arts.
You have one great fundraising event. Are you going over the edge for the Flynn?
I am. I actually went over the edge last year. It was probably my sixth or seventh week on the job, and my husband and I both went over the edge, and that was so much fun.
What is it now? Tell our audience.
Over the Edge is a fundraiser for the Flynn, and all of the proceeds go to help our arts education programs. So the nearly 40,000 people that benefit from arts education at the Flynn every year, and as a participant, you get to rappel 9 stories down the side of the Courtyard Marriott, and which is one of the best views in Burlington, by the way. You start out in the honeymoon suite, and then you get to sort of, at your own pace, you can go as fast or as slow as you like. I chose to go slow because I was just looking out at the lake and just loving every minute. But it is an incredible event, and there's so much great energy that goes into it, and we're really excited for this year's event, which will be on August 31st. Everyone is welcome to come on down and cheer on our rappellers.
Right, right. You and I believe that there's great value in live performances, obviously. We live in a time when our nation is fragmented, and all of our citizens seem to be pulling apart. Now, do you think that we can actually program the arts so we can expose people to different cultures and ideas than they're used to, and maybe create some pathways of understanding? You think that's possible?
I do. I really think the arts are one of the things in our society today that can really help us build this positive civic dialogue. And I think in many cases, the arts are an opportunity to bring communities together and to get people thinking critically about really important civic issues. And you know, just by that sheer bringing people together around you know, a shared human experience, you know, all in the same place, I think is a really powerful thing. But what I've certainly witnessed at the Flynn and in other organizations is by having content on the stage that really sparks a dialogue, that dialogue can actually propel important civic issues forward. Like, for example, this year we had Spectrum Dance do an incredible performance called Rap on Race. And we had a student matinee with 1,400 kids there. And then we had an evening performance when you know, the public came. And in both cases, we had Q&As with the dancers. And that dialogue was so important and so meaningful, you know, both to the students and their teachers as well as to our public. And it never would have happened if we didn't have that performance. And a similar example was when we had Ping Chong and Company come and do a performance called Beyond Sacred, and it was Voices of a Muslim Identity. And we had 5 actors who were actually non-actors, but they had been trained by the Ping Chong and Company to tell their stories about being Muslims in America. And we had a whole bunch of preparatory exercises and teaching artists that went out into the classrooms to start the conversation with classes. And then those conversations continued.
That's
and that's
great.
So important.
That's great. New conversations. And the arts can help with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for coming, Anna Marie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Nice to have you.
Great to be here.
And thank you for joining us on Conversations with Kay.